How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? So today I just wanted to do I guess you could say, long-term review of the John Deere 1023e. So I've had this thing for a full year now. I've put about 150 hours on it since I bought it, and I've used it a ton, just basically to maintain my property, mow lawn, basically, I mean, I guess everybody buys a tractor, they maintain their property with it. So that's basically what I've done with it. I would say I've maybe put it through a little more than it was designed to do, and it's taken it all in stride. What prompted me to make this video is because I hear a lot about people not really liking the plastic on these John Deeres. I've heard that as being a complaint that some people have had, and I want to just point to something. So yesterday I was using the bucket to take wood out of the pile of split wood and pick it up and bring it into my woodshed. Well, when I picked the bucket up, I lifted it a little bit too high at a little too steep of an angle, and one of the pieces fell off and came and hit the hood right here. Now, it came from probably about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 feet high, and it was a 15-inch split piece of wood, so pretty heavy. Landed directly on the hood, and I saw it coming, and I'm like, man, that is going to destroy the hood, because I had the time to think about that as it's flying through the air. And I left a little tiny mark that you probably cannot even see. It's right where my finger is. It's a little tiny scuff. Now, I don't know what other people have had experience-wise with these plastic hoods, and I am sure if this was in the dead of winter and not in 85-degree heat in the summer, that could have easily cracked the plastic. But being the way that it turned out for me, it did not crack the plastic. And if that was a metal hood, it would have had a giant dent in it and probably would have chipped the paint. So, I don't know. I'm a believer in the plastic stuff, just for that reason. You know, maybe you say, well, if it was cold out, it would have cracked it. Well, the reality is it wasn't cold out, which means about 50% of the time something lands on it, it's probably not going to crack it. Whereas with a hood that's metal, 100% of the time something like that lands on it, it's going to dent it. So that was just, like I said, what prompted me to start this video. So I'll start with the negative things of this tractor that I've noticed. So the first thing is, and I don't know if it's where I'm getting my diesel from, maybe, but I use it enough, so I feel like I shouldn't have this issue. It does seem to collect a lot of water in that bowl, which is good, which is fine, right? So right there, you can see my ring's up a little bit right now. I'm actually going to drain it. That's why it's sitting here. The problem is not the water in the bowl. Obviously, that's not the tractor's fault. The problem is there's no way to drain that easily, right? So you have to unscrew the thing and then take the bowl off, and then you get diesel everywhere. And I mean, you don't get it everywhere. It's just a pain in the butt of a process. It'd be nice if there was just a little petcock drain on the bottom that you could just open it up and drain it out. The other issue that's kind of related to that is these filler necks. My understanding is they're known to collect rust. Well, mine is no different. You can see in there along the neck edge, it does start to build up a little bit of rust. Now, I generally try to keep this thing filled up most of the time. Like right now, it's a 3/4 tank. I'm sure if I kept it fully full, that would probably alleviate that, but you really shouldn't have to do that. You really shouldn't have to do that. So what I've ended up doing is I took a little bit of grease and smeared it around the threads, and it seems to keep the majority of the rust down from forming there. So it hasn't been that big of a deal, so I'm just going to leave it. Other negative is a couple of the pins on the 3-point hitch system seem to like to back out. Like actually there's one right now. So I have to constantly check them. I'm not sure if you can see that down in there. It's this pin right here. You see how it backs out and then it makes contact with your PTO cover. So that's something that I've noticed. Really no rust on the thing, so that's pretty nice. The loader bucket's good. It is definitely very tippy. I definitely need to get some form of something to alleviate that issue, because it's very tippy tractor. Other than that, I would say for the most part, it's pretty simple. There was a couple times when I noticed that these, they had a lot of pressure in them. I couldn't get them out. And the only time that ever happened to me is when I took the bucket off to mow, and I left the bucket outside when I did that. Just so I had to mow quick. I think I left it right over on the driveway, actually, before I got it paved. And I just left it there. And what ended up happening was I think the heat from the sun made the fluid in the hydraulic lines expand. and I actually ended up having to take a hammer and hit the top of the hydraulic lines to get the pressure out because there was no other way I could connect the things. So that was kind of annoying. That was something I had an issue with. I don't know if this is common. Let's see. I'll open the hood. Actually, this is the first time opening the hood since I had my mishap with the wood the other day. So I might be making myself a liar here if the hood doesn't open. Oh, no, it opened. Is it cracked? Nope. Okay, good. So that coolant line right there, that leaked on me. So I just, I generally check my stuff pretty often. It's pretty clean under there. I pretty much hose it off every time I'm done mowing the lawn with it. That's basically how I've decided to keep track of that. And yeah, so at one point I did that, I checked it, and there was a thing of coolant there. So yeah, that's basically the only major problems I've had with this thing, or not major, but the only issues I've had. Check my other videos out. The fix for the rear diff, that has worked marvelously on how to make sure the rear brake and the rear diff don't stick on or stick off on you. I know John Deere's got that recall right now for that thing, so that's separate, totally separate issue. But yeah, so check that out. All right, so let's move on to the positives. Basically everything else, I would say. Obviously, you could always have a bigger tractor. There are certain things I do when I say to myself, I wish this thing had more bucket lift capacity. Usually that would be when I'm like spreading stone on the driveway, or like when I had this paved, there's a giant pile of it over there that I spread inside the barn, and then I was spreading along the edges of the driveway to fortify it. And I wish, obviously I wish I had a bucket that could hold 10 tons at that point. So the bucket being the size it is, it's really not the tractor's fault. Beyond that, the size is perfect, I would say, for what I do with it, because I can mow with it, I can plow snow with it, I can spread stone with it, I can grade my driveway with it. I can do basically every single thing around here that I need to do with it. And the size is perfect because it doesn't damage my lawn. It does a pretty good job mowing. It's a little tippy. So that's the only negative side to this. You're not going to mow a golf course with this thing, but I would say for my yard, it's about as good as you're going to get. Outside of maybe a zero turn, but I've got some pretty steep hills. That's a pretty steep hill. There's another really steep hill on the back side of the house. There's a really steep hill over there. So this seems to be a pretty good, with the four-wheel drive, as long as you go straight up and straight down the hills, it doesn't spin the tires, it doesn't tear up the lawn. I think a 2 Series probably would tear up the lawn from weight, maybe. A zero turn would probably get stuck going up and down the hills because of how steep they are. Sometimes the grass is a little wet when I mow. So I love that about this. The size of it is perfect for what I do with it. Another thing I like is ergonomic-wise, I just think the Deere is far better than most of the other competition. First of all, the fit and finish is amazing. I don't care what anybody says. It is by far better than, and I looked at all of them, it's by far better than Mahindra, Massey Ferguson, New Holland, all those like halfway brands that are owned by some other conglomerate, Coyote. The fit and finish on this is 100 times better. The seat feels nicer, the steering wheel feels nicer, the switchgear feels nicer, the way everything lines up just looks better. This whole thing down here just actually looks kind of nice. It's not just some like platform that's molded into a piece of metal with some stickiness stuck on top of it. And it actually looks like a high quality piece of equipment that had some thought put into the way in which it was engineered. And I really liked that. That was one of the things that sold me on the Deere over everything else when I was looking at it. The tires, there are 4s. They seem to be good. I haven't had any issues with them in the snow and the rain. They're perfectly fine. I haven't had any traction issues at all with them. I'm sure there's tires that are better. I have yet to find need for it, considering how much that costs. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here. The 4-wheel drive system works good as far as the John Deere 3-point hitch is concerned. So, as you can see, this is a Mahindra box blade. The reason why I got this is because one of my local tractor dealers that deals in Mahindras had a pallet of these that they had for a way discounted price because they didn't have the tines or whatever those things are called, the J-hook things that tear into the ground. They didn't have those. So because of that, I paid like $400 for this box blade, brand new. And I don't need those because all I do with it is just grade the stone on the driveway. So And you can buy them on Amazon for like $150 if you really wanted them. But yeah, so $400 basically brand new. And what was funny about the Mahindra implements is they don't fit. You can see these are too small to fit in here. But the John Deere 3-point, the one that I had on this, came with these, which they fit perfect on this and adapted them perfectly. You move the J-hook down and done. And so yeah. I did add an LED light bar on it. Okay, I did an install video on that. Saw haul thing, it's really nice. It's kind of necessary for us because we're always doing firewood. Aftermarket wise, that's all I've added to this. So oh no, that's not true. LED lights, they're working awesome also still. So I put LED bulbs in there. I mean, honestly, you need a light bar though if you're gonna do anything at night, because the headlights don't work on these because the bucket is in the way of the lights. So as soon as you move the bucket more than basically off the ground, you can't see anything anyway. So you pretty much need a light bar. Yeah, I mean, other than that, this thing has been a great machine. I've not had any problems with it. I've done the service on it when I first bought it. I bought it with like 120 hours, something like that, or 110 hours. And I did a full service on it when I did that. So I'm probably going to do another one right before winter. And, I like to keep up on the service and the maintenance of my machines. So it's been a little bit of a long-winded video. But if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. And yeah, we will talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your tractors.